Okay, sometimes doing some of the videos out there, this is for educational purposes, not for profit, so I'm not claiming any copyright to these. These are on YouTube, and I'm going to take little bits and pieces under the Fair Use Act and just kind of explain some things here. When you're seeing people shoot, and I talked about shooting fundamentals, remember I always talk about keeping that elbow locked. See that elbow right there? That's not locked. It's bent. And what that does is it allows this hand to bend when the round is fired. So you're going to see this as she shoots this, and it doesn't bend all the way, but it bends enough to cause her her other grip. Now I'm going to go back on that just a little bit here to show that again. I want you to notice how her hand right here, she doesn't have a good grip. See how that second finger there isn't really wrapped around the gun consistently? She's holding the gun kind of like this with her finger, not a very good grip. That grip should be all the way around. The only finger that should be off is this. This finger's not really gripping, if you notice that on her hand there. So she doesn't have a good grip. That's why the gun jumps out of her hand. If somebody was instructing her, they would have caught that and said, look, you don't have a good enough grip on the gun. The gun's going to pop out. Your elbow isn't locked. Because your elbow isn't locked and you don't have a good grip right there with that finger, the gun's probably going to jump out of your hand and hit you, which is exactly what happens. Bam, hits her in the head. Not good. Don't like to see that because it scares. This lady right here, remember I talked about leaning forward, that aggressive. You see how she's leaning this way? She's leaning back instead of leaning forward. She should be leaning, her head should be up here. Her body should have a line like so instead of like this. If you look at her body, she's like this, she's leaning, she's afraid of the gun. She doesn't have that good aggressive stance. She's not able to absorb the recoil on this gun. So what happens when she does? The gun jumps over her shoulder, she's already leaning back and hits her head. Again, another bad experience here. Now, Again, I've looked at some of these videos. I don't remember what's going to happen, but I'm just going to tell you probably what's going to happen by looking at this video. Elbow bent. See that elbow is bent right there? That's not good. Hopefully you can see the laser. I'm pointing right there. The elbow is bent. Her back is leaning back. Doesn't have that aggressive stance. She should be leaning forward, getting into it, getting aggressive, making it so her elbow is locked and her whole body can absorb this recoil. She's already showing uncomfortable and a bad stance. Who's ever teaching her or letting her do this is not instructing her well, and they're setting her up to fail, and she fails. And it hits her in the head. And I think they show it in slow motion, maybe. Mostly they slow. Okay, elbow breaks. Okay, on this one right here, her elbow is locked. You'll notice her elbow is locked. Let me see if I can stop that a little bit quicker. Oh, man, that's pretty quick. Let me try it one more time. See if I can get my finger a little bit quicker. Oh, I can't do it. Well, she doesn't, I don't know if they show this in slow motion. It hurts. Oh, good. See those nice elbows? Notice the gun doesn't come back and hit her, and her arms don't fold when she fires. She's got a pretty good aggressive stance. She's got that front laid forward. She's leaning forward. So her body is good, but her grip's bad. And those are the little things that people don't get. So if you notice on the grip here, her grip, because it's not good, she doesn't have one hand gripping really well except for the trigger finger, and she doesn't have that second hand coming around gripping over really tight to hold that gun from doing this. If she's just relaxing this hand here, or sometimes called a cup and saucer, you take a cup and you set it in the saucer of your hand and you hold it, that's a very poor, it doesn't help hold the gun down. When I grab this front here, I want to be able to hold this gun down so it can't jump up. I've got two wrists holding it down. She's got two wrists, but she doesn't have a good grip, and that's why the gun flops right out of her hand. Okay, now this lady right here, this is why when you're shooting a gun, when you're first starting, if you have an instructor, if you're doing it by yourself, you load one round at a time. You don't load multiple rounds. If something goes wrong, by loading one round at a time, it does a lot of things. It reinforces your familiarity with the gun. It teaches you how to load one round each time you shoot. It teaches you how to unload. It teaches you how to re-get your grip, how to do all the fundamentals each and every time. So loading one round at a time when you're first starting is important, but here's one of the main reasons it's important. You load multiple rounds in a gun, and when somebody starts shooting, that's the second round, that's the third round. I don't know if she fires a fourth one if she's hitting the ground because she doesn't know how to stop. It's just momentum knocking her backwards. This is a very, if they show this one in slow motion, I'll have to go back. Oh, man, I can't catch it. Okay, you notice the gun just flipped up. So again, her elbows, I think, were kind of not bent there. See these elbows bent? See, this elbow has to be bent because look how close it is. You never shoot a gun looking down the sights like this unless you've got a stock. This is a pistol grip. She has no business holding that gun close like that. Again, somebody instructing her is kind of setting her up to fail. Not really fair to her. And because this elbow is bent, she can't stop it. It's going to climb up and, you know, obviously she gets hit. And then that's not a good way. Okay. On this one, elbow bent, not locked forward. That locked elbow is really important. That's a fundamental that people need to learn. And if somebody's teaching you, they need to make sure you lock your elbows. After you get better, I'm going to show you a shotgun video here in a minute where this girl doesn't use a lot of the fundamentals, but because she's so familiar with the shotgun, she knows how to accept the recoil without trying to stop it when she's off balance. But this girl right here, same thing. It's going to jump, it's going to bend. See that elbow? And then they usually look at the gun. This time they're looking at the camera like, what happened? Well, you didn't lock your elbow. What happened? You didn't lock your elbow. Lock your elbow. You didn't lock your elbow. Lock your elbow. Okay, now this guy, he's got both elbows locked, but he's got what I got a crappy grip. You see how he's holding like the bottom? If this is the gun, he's holding just this bottom part with his second hand. So he's holding it like this instead of getting a good grip on that hand. I don't know what's going to happen. My guess is the gun's going to come back and hit him in the head or something. Okay, he snapped out of his hands. Okay, this guy, not good. Let's see if they do it again in slow motion so I can show his arms bent. They didn't show him in slow motion. Yeah, look at those elbows. Look at him getting behind that gun. Look, when a bullet is pushed out of a barrel, for every action there's an opposite and equal reaction. That gun has to absorb it. So the heavier the gun, the heavier the person, the more the person locks the elbow and makes the whole body. The only thing that absorbing the impact of this gun going off is a little bit of his wrist holding it, which is a very weak stance. He doesn't have his wrist locked, he doesn't have his elbow locked, and he's got his head right behind the path, which most times that's where the head's at because you're looking down the sights. And he gets hit in the face. Not a good lesson. Actually, it is a good lesson. It's just a painful lesson. There's better ways. This dude is holding... Don't ask me why, big dummy. He's holding the gun extremely straight out, both arms. He doesn't have anything for shoulder. He's shooting a rifle, and without being able to support that, that rifle's going to come right back and hit him. And now, if he had a shoulder, then it hurt. Yeah, I know, he's crying. Poor thing. If he had that butt in the shoulder, that shoulder would have absorbed it. If he was leaning forward, his body would have absorbed it. If his grip was good, his grip would have helped absorb it. The more factors you get into absorbing the impact of a bullet going off, the less the bullet goes off. Now, he could have held that gun at his wrist or at his waist and let it fly backwards like you're going to see this girl does with a shotgun. And it's easy to absorb the impact because you're not trying to stop it and you're not looking down the sights. But this guy has to learn a hard lesson. Now there's teeth marks on the butt of my gun. I'm upset. All right, so let me, and I'll try and remember to put links in here on this. This is the girl. What's this one? Okay, this one has some, this one's a little bit shorter and says I'm getting close. I don't know if I'll be able to get the girl. I'll make a second one on this girl. All right, so this guy's got a shotgun here. Again, see this? If he shot this gun right now in that position, there would be no problem. His elbow would fly backwards, the gun would fly backwards a foot or so, and his other wrist would probably bounce off his belly because it's coming across his belly, and then he would shove the rifle forward. So it would look like boom, boom, boom. No big deal. But if he tries to stick it out in front of his face, one hand like a duck. So, all right, right here, we got bent elbows. When your elbows are bent, this is what's going to happen. So when you hear somebody, well, I shot a gun, I know a friend, and she shot a gun, and it hit her in the head. The gun didn't hit her in the head. The dummy didn't lock her wrist. Somebody didn't teach her or teach him how to lock his wrist and how to have an aggressive, forward-leaning, being able to stabilize and absorb the recoil of that gun. That's what got them hit in the head. Same thing. Bent elbows. He's standing behind her laughing. I don't think that's funny. Women need to be confident and be supported to learn how to shoot a gun properly so they're not hurt. It's the same way with my horse channel. It's kind of funny for guys to set a girl up on a horse they know is going to buck or hurt her, and then they laugh about it. But that makes a strong impact, and it creates a fear that you have to work through now. When a girl gets hit in the head with a gun, she's going to be scared of a gun. And then she's going to be told by a bunch of people, oh, that's because you were shooting too big of a bullet. Or that's because that was a 45. You should be shooting a 9mm or a 380 or a 38. Don't get caught up in all that. Any woman I know can shoot any gun a man can shoot. Well, any handgun. I'm sure there's a couple, I don't know if I'd even want to shoot a 44 Magnum all the time because it would hurt. But I'm sure I could teach any woman to shoot a 44. It's all about stance, locking the elbow, aggressive forward, not leaning back, tightening those wrists. This is kind of the same one on the other one. I kind of want to jump through here, but I don't know which one's which. She got a busted nose. Yeah, she's going to want to go shooting again. This guy's got a busted nose. Look, no. He's using a pistol grip and he's aiming it like a rifle. A pistol grip shotgun is not designed with no stock to be held out in front of you. So these people doing this are, in my opinion, not too smart. You don't shoot a. Okay, now that she had a poor stance, which is why she fell over. And I'm gonna try and stop it here before she shoots it. I got caught up looking at this guy. See, look at her stance. She's already leaning back before the gun is fired. She's on one leg. She has no support. Her butt's the only thing. She's like a damn stick that's just going to get knocked over. She has no leg or anything to lean forward and to absorb that recoil. So what happens? It knocks her down. So she'll be told also now, oh, you know what? You can't shoot a shotgun because shotgun is for men and it's tough and it's hard and because you're a woman, you just can't do it. That's BS. She could shoot this gun just like any man if she used the right stance. And she could shoot it sitting down. I could have her shooting it sitting down. I think you saw this one before. At least she kind of kept her grip. She kept it pointed down range. Now, I knew this girl was going to get whacked as soon as I saw this, and I didn't stop in time. So let's go back here. All right. Look at the back, people. Look at the feet. The feet are flat. She's standing straight up. Anybody that stands straight up or leans back when they shoot a gun has a improper stance, and it's not going to turn out as well. Now, can somebody who knows how to shoot properly stand up and shoot like that? Yeah, because they've developed kind of muscle memory on how to, I don't want to say anticipated recoil because that's normally a negative thing, but they know how to absorb the recoil without getting knocked over. But if you get a new shooter and they're standing straight up or that back is curved back, you got problems. And you don't have a sturdy stance, and you're not going to get a second round, and the rifle's going to climb, and it's probably going to bounce off her shoulder because she doesn't have a stock well. You notice her shoulder, instead of straight, is way back here. So that stock well where the stock fits in there, it's easy to bounce off. Where it was straighter, it would have a pocket to go into it. It wouldn't ricochet off. When it's like this, it ricochets off easy. So that's why this gun kind of ricochets off. It hurts her shoulder. Of course it hurts. Not your fault. Okay. Here we go again. Curved back, leaning back, not an aggressive stance, holding the gun like it's a powder puff and we're going to bake a cake. Come on, people. That is if you look at that, I did a video a while ago. I was talking about cop work or something when I was doing a horse channel. It was like, oh, I'm going to throw these pretty pink bullets at you if you don't stop running. That's not going to stop anybody. If somebody sees somebody hold a gun like that, the first thing they're going to think is this person don't know what they're doing. I'll just wait for the first shot. I'll move, make her shoot once. It's going to knock her on her butt or she'll drop the gun, and then I'll just go over and take the gun and use it against her. Anybody that knows a gun can look at this, and hopefully you're developing that critical eye and you're learning how to spot what a bad stance is. Guy's going to shoot one hand, jumps out of his hand, no big deal. Anyway, if I can remember, I'll put these links. I'm at 15 minutes, so let me get off here. Look, when you're doing these, remember, stance, grip, You have to anticipate the recoil because you know it's coming, but you don't want to anticipate it to where you react and that'll throw your bullet off. You're going to hear people, oh, never anticipate the recoil. You don't want to anticipate it to the point that it causes you to flinch or try to move the bullet down so it doesn't jump out of your hand. I'm at 15 minutes. We'll end that there. Everybody, Bitchute, you're good boys. I'll do another one here on this one with the shotgun. It's pretty good.